This month, I turned 36. And normally, about this time of the year, I get really reflective and I write a list down. And sometimes I'll share on social media like a couple things or lessons that I learned throughout the year or where my headspace is at. And I always try to connect and encourage people where they are, whether they're older or younger. I want them to kind of be challenged by some questions. I didn't do that this year because when I sat down and I started listing some of these lessons that I've learned and I started kind of compiling it, it compounded really quick. And it went from 6 to 10 to 12 to 15 to 20. And I had so many lessons. But as I approached each lesson and wrote them down, I was just overwhelmed with encouragement and joy. And in some cases, I was hit with like nostalgia. And then in other areas, I was hit with challenging areas where I had fallen off the path or I had lost my way and I wanted to get back on it. Areas that just hurt because they were painful memories. But it was good to remember them accurately. So I want to share these things, and I'm going to go through this. It's 36 things for the 36 years that I've lived on this earth. And I just want you to stick with me. You can pick and choose whichever one you like. This is not me saying that I know what I'm talking about. This is just me going off of what I've experienced, what I've learned, all of the lessons, and the more wiser than me people that I've listened to over the years that have helped me develop these thought process and the way that I think, the worldview that I have. And so please take each one with a grain of salt. But I do think that these are all valuable. And I do think that everybody should know and develop their own list of things that they believe they should know, because it helps you in the development of who you are as a person, where you are today, which will impact where you are tomorrow. So we're going to talk about that and we're going to go through all of these. So let's get into it. 36 life lessons is what I'm calling this, or 36 things that I think everybody should know. Number one, sleep is a superpower. I don't think I need to really expound on this very much because I've talked about sleep so much throughout my time on the podcast. I think it's extremely valuable, and the better sleep that you get, the better energy you have throughout your day. The better energy you have throughout your day, the more, honestly, just successful you are in any of your endeavors, whether you're pushing for something in the gym or pushing for something in your career. The more energy you have, the more likelihood you are to do well in it. Number two, experience does not always equal growth. I heard West Virginia's head football coach, Rich Rodriguez, say on the Pat McAfee show a little while ago, he said, if you have 25 years of experience, but you do not learn and grow year over year, then you have 1 year of experience repeated 25 times. I cannot tell you how many times I restarted year over year in my 20s, not picking up on new skills, not picking up on new things, not picking up on the mental or the physical or the emotional cues that I needed to, the relational cues that I needed to learn. I spent so many years thinking, oh, I'm gaining experience, but really I wasn't gaining any experience. I was just reliving that same year like Groundhog Day. Valuable lesson is that there are things in life that we are going to experience over and over and over again, and that's okay. We will experience the same day many different ways in many different times. What is important is that we don't think of that as, oh, I'm just gaining experience. If you do one job for 3 months, you may say, oh, I have 3 months of experience in doing this. But if you only do little or as little as you can or as little as you can get by with at that job, and you're not building those skills and learning how to do things at a better pace or a better way, or listening to the management or training that you're getting there, then what you're doing is you are just experiencing that job and you're not really growing and building that growth from the experience. And so the next place you go, you may think, oh, I have 3 months of experience, but really you only learned about 2 weeks worth of the job because you didn't take captive all of the opportunity that you have. I did this throughout my 20s quite a bit, where I worked a couple different jobs, but I only did them for about 18 months or 2 years. And in the process of doing it, I learned for the first maybe 6 months and then coasted the last year and a half. Because I stopped developing or building those skills, or I started looking at myself as an expert when I wasn't. So I slowly kind of just weeded myself out and got myself to a point where I didn't like that job anymore. So I switched and I moved to something else. We do this a lot throughout our lives. So just because you're living a life or going to work or going to school doesn't actually always mean that you're gaining the experience or the skills that you're going to need for the next level. I have crashed and burned on this multiple times, and I've known people who have crashed and burned on this multiple times. So the next time you're going through something and you say, "Oh, I've done this before," sit for a second and think, why do I feel like I've done this before? And what can I do differently this time? Because maybe I need to do something differently this time, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over the same way while expecting a different result. And sometimes that's what we do. Number 3, a lot can happen in 18 months. I just talked about it. I've gone through my different careers in my 20s where I would be somewhere for 18 months, maybe 2 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. I think the longest in my 20s, I stayed in school for sports broadcasting. That was the longest time that I stayed in one place and really developed skills, really built out who I was as a person, and really came together with all the skills that I had prior. But again, just because I poured into that, it didn't mean that, my life was all honky-dory. COVID hit and changed everything. But what I did learn was all those skills, and the amount of time that it took me to learn those skills and then pouring into it, I realized I can do this. Whatever I need to do or whatever I want to do, I can do it. And that led me into a entry-level position that nobody really wanted. I was overqualified. In fact, the first job that I applied for at the company that I worked for, they turned me down, and I was way overqualified. And there was quite a few people around me that were kind of shocked that I was turned down because I was overqualified. The next job was an entry-level position as well that I applied for, and they hired me on the spot because they needed to fill a position. No other reason. It was just an entry-level position. But it was one of those jobs where you look at and you say, wow, really? That's what you're doing? Like that's it? And just as a heads up, it was like one of those customer service positions where you talk on the phone all day and your life is basically determined by metrics of how quickly you can get people on and off the phone. How quickly can you answer their questions? How polite can you answer their questions? And that was basically my life for 18 months. But I knew that if I got my foot in the door, this was a larger company. If I got my foot in the door, I was going to network and get to know people. And if I did a good job there, they had a time frame of 18 months. You had to be in that position for 18 months before you could move to a different area in the company. I knew if I established myself that I would have opportunities and I would network opportunities. And the thing is over those 18 months, I applied for, I think, 5 different jobs, maybe more. I had 7 interviews internally at this company, this large company. I heard no a lot, but I developed all of these skills and relationships, and it benefited me to the point where those 18 months have changed the course of 5 years, I feel like. So if you can do something difficult for 18 months and lock in and commit yourself to something for 18 months, I can promise you that the next 5 years will be completely different and a benefit for you over those 5 years. I truly believe that if you can commit to something for 3 years, the rest of your life is good. Like, you can take care of so much if you just commit yourself to something. So 18 months, it goes by so fast. I literally remember blinking and we were at 6 months, another blink and we were at a year, and another blink, and then I moved up to Baltimore with the job opportunity that I have now. Number 4, burn boats, not bridges. Now, I've talked about this on the podcast, and we probably need to revisit this on a full podcast episode, but so many people are scorched earth mentality. If you don't match what I think I need in my life, I'm just going to cut you out, and scorched earth, we're going to burn that bridge. A lot of people do this with their jobs where they don't like a manager or they don't like a certain thing at their job. So they will no longer want to work there, but they have to because they need to get paid. So they become extremely apathetic and they become extremely low production. as little as they can at the least amount of hours that they have to work there to get paid the max amount that they need to get paid. What that does is it burns a bridge. And not only that, it burns bridges with the people around you. And oftentimes you'll have friends, family members that will kind of get the brunt of it. And they'll actually have some of that secondhand smoke or even burn themselves as well. So your relationships outside of work, your relationships inside of work, and you never know how many people that you know inside of work. There's oftentimes if you do less job or the worse job at your job, right? If you do a worse effort, then other people have to pick up the slack. Sometimes it is the people who you actually care about and have helped you in the past. So I always say burn boats. If you don't want to be somewhere, it is absolutely okay to get in a boat and sail away and then burn those boats when you get to the other side, wherever you are. But if you are in a place where there's bridges, right? If you are in an area where you have friends that are at a really good job and they enjoy their job and they're your friends, but you dislike your job, sometimes your attitude will impact their attitude at work, which they enjoyed that job. And you may not know that that is the job that that person really, really wants. And burning that bridge will only end up hurting them and your relationship with them. And what I've learned in life is that you may not realize that somebody is going to need help. You might need help at some point in time, and you don't know when you're going to need a recommendation from a boss. You don't know when you're going to apply to a job that you really want, and they're going to ask, hey, why did you leave this company? So if you're going to leave a company, do it the right way. Do the best job you can. Keep and learn and get all the skills you can from that job while looking for another job. Once you look and find that other job, accurately put in your 2 weeks, politely tell your manager, do all the things in the right manner so that at the end of the day, you know without a shadow of a doubt, hey, that bridge never was burned. I did what I needed to do. I sailed away in a new boat, because at some point you might find yourself in a time of need, and that job might be the only thing that you can fall back on. This actually happened with me, where I left a job mostly because I was just there for a little bit. But COVID hit, changed my life, changed my trajectory. I needed something quick. I needed to make money quick. But because I didn't burn that bridge, I was able to go back and work in that same job, even though it wasn't like the best job. It wasn't one that I absolutely adored or loved or anything, but that lack of burning the bridge kept that way of escape or that way out of the situation I was in by being able to go back to that other job. So it is so important, if you are doing anything, if you are in a relationship that you're over with, leave the right way. Don't burn the bridge. You have no idea what people are going through. You have no idea what people need to hear from you. Burn boats, not bridges. Scorched earth will only ruin the land of everybody around you and your own. It is best to just go, and you can burn the boat. And if somebody really wants to be around you, they'll find a way to get to you. It's just one of those life lessons that are really, really hard, because sometimes we get scorned by somebody, or somebody else tries to burn bridges, and we're like, I didn't even do this. Right? We've all been around a coworker who's had a terrible attitude, and because their terrible attitude, all of a sudden you have a terrible attitude at work. It just happens. So be very careful about the bridges you burn. Number 5, you're going to make enemies. You will make enemies. Enemies are actually not a bad thing in life. I think for a lot of my years, I spent trying to be liked by everybody. I wanted to be loved by everybody, and that's just not realistic. I'm a middle child, okay? Give me a little bit of a break. Like, that's part of who we are and what we do in life, is we want everybody to love us. But it's just not possible, right? I wrote this down in my journal that you will piss off people when you step into your purpose, because it reminds them of the purpose they walked away from. The amount of people who I have actually made an enemy out of on accident, because I was full on headstrong going towards something and they just didn't like it. We tend to really root for people, but we also tend to really enjoy when people fail for some reason. As a society, we tend to be laser focused, and we don't always celebrate those small wins or when somebody does something that's a little, but we absolutely will focus on and broadcast the smallest loss when somebody experiences it. So whether it's, oh, so-and-so failed this class, or so-and-so missed this kick, or so-and-so did that. Like, we tend to do this in sports all the time, where we will see, oh, this quarterback threw an interception that cost the game. But we completely disregard the fact that they threw 4 touchdowns as well. We just do this in life, and it is okay to make enemies. What's not okay is that you make enemies for no reason. People will think what they think, and you are going to think what you think. But if you ever find yourself not liking somebody, really think hard about, why is it? Why do I not like this person? Is it their personality? Is it what they're doing? Or maybe it's because there's an internal thing that's going on that I'm frustrated with myself because I didn't think of that, or I didn't do that when I knew I could have done it. I really think that it's important that people will get upset because they're frustrated at the fact that you're doing all the things that they once said they were going to do as well. And maybe not exactly like career-wise, but their mentality changed over time. And so it's okay to have enemies. Number 6, if you're waiting for the right time, it's now. You can't see it, but right over here is a sign that I've had in pretty much every apartment that I've ever owned or ever had. It says that if you're waiting for the right time, it's now. Don't wait for tomorrow. If something can be done today, do it today. It's a breath of fresh air. It's a weight off your shoulders. It's less stress that you have to deal with, all of that stuff. But don't wait for a perfect time. There's never a perfect time. If you need to get something done, or if you have the ability to do something, go ahead and do it, because it's only going to compound and become a bigger and bigger issue. Number 7, quality comes with quantity. There's a story. I've talked about this on the podcast before in one of the previous episodes, but there's a story about an art professor who took half of his class, and I guess they were doing like pottery or something like that. And so on one side of the class, he said, okay, you're going to be graded by 1 pot. You have the entire semester to study, learn, and figure out, and as a portion of the class, make 1 perfect pot, and you'll be graded on that pot. On the other side of the class, he basically said, look, your goal is to make as many pots as possible. I want to see how many pots you can make, and you'll be graded by the amount of pots that you make throughout the year. At the end of the year, the highest quality pots came from the side that made the most. And it just goes to show that the quality comes from quantity. The more you do something, the better you're going to be at it. The more you do things, the more you find out what doesn't work. And the more you find out what doesn't work, the more you hone in on what does. And I look at this podcast as a perfect example. The more I've practiced this podcast, the more I've done it, whether I've wanted to or not, whether I've missed episodes or not, the more I just keep doing the podcast, the more I learn what works and what doesn't work. And you know what? One day, something might go extremely viral, and I have no control over that. But what I do have control over is the quantity and the fact that I'm just going to keep doing it. And I think that it's a very, very good lesson to learn, is that sometimes you don't need that 1 perfect pot. Sometimes you just need 100 pots. And out of those hundreds, 1 or 2 are going to be really, really close. Number 8, don't complain about something that you once asked for. I know so many people that have talked about wanting this specific life, or they want to earn certain things, or they want to do certain things in life, or they want to be known as somebody, as somebody specific. They want to be known as somebody who gives a lot or has this job or is able to do this. And I've known so many people that have that conversation with me. And now, years later, they have that job. They have kids and they have responsibilities and they have people who look up to them and see them as the hero. Exactly what they've always wanted. But it's hard work, and now they complain about that hard work. Whether it's a great job, a great marriage, or a great life, none of that is going to come from a mediocre life. If you want a great life, you have to get used to doing great things as if they're normal. That is the responsibility of it. I think a lot of people want the ability to say, oh, I'm happy, or oh, I'm able to do this, or able to do that, or I want to do whatever I want whenever I want it. Well, in order to be able to get that life when you can do whatever you want whenever you want, the reality is it takes a lot of hard work. And in order to get to that point, I think more and more and more, I was listening to a Diary of a CEO podcast where Stephen Bartlett was talking with Mr. Beast. And he was talking about how the reason why he does what he does is because nobody else does it. And the days when he's really, really stressed and struggled, he was like, this is why nobody could do what I do anyway. It's because I'm going to do this. And it has helped shape my mind a little bit, that I don't want to complain for the life that I've been given, because this is the life I've worked for. And years ago, this is the life that I prayed for. Just because I'm in the middle of it doesn't mean it's not the life I'm supposed to live or the life that I've always wanted. See, we get upset when it's hard. This is really hard. Well, guess what? One of my favorite quotes, and I'm surprised that it's actually not on this list, but it should be, is hard things are hard. That's why they're called hard things. Don't complain. If you are wanting to do something great, don't be surprised when it's really, really hard and you are forced to go through really hard things over and over and over, because that's where greatness is made. Number 9, sleep on it. This is one of my favorite lessons that my dad taught me whenever making a big decision or whenever making a large purchase. The best thing to do is just to sleep on it, to think about it with a clear head in the morning. If you still want that thing, or if you are still nervous about it in the morning, then at least you know that it's a viable option, right? And oftentimes, whenever I have like a big decision or a big purchase that I need to make, I sleep on it and I wake up and I've found new solutions or a different option that I didn't know before or didn't think about before. And so sometimes I don't even have to make that decision because this new option is a much better choice. So we go with the new option. And then other times, my choice is solidified, right? Nope, I absolutely want to do this. I need to do this. This is the right thing. And what it does is it completely cuts out overthinking. When you wake up with that mentality of, I know what I want to do now, usually that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. And so sleep on it. If you're making a big decision, a best thing to do is, instead of overthinking it, just go ahead and sit for a second and sleep on it and then go do it, right? Take action. And the other thing, the caveat of that is absolutely do it. Don't overthink. Don't say, oh, I'm going to sleep on it 2, 3, 4 nights. If you set a specific time, I'm going to sleep on it for 2 nights. After 2 nights, this is the decision that whatever I'm thinking that morning, that's what I'm going to do. Because the reality is a lot of us will turn into analysis paralysis if we give ourselves too long. Number 10, stop binge watching life. I am so guilty of this. This is one of those lessons where when I was actually sitting down to write it, I was like, oh crap, like this is 100% me. It took me a long, long time to figure this out, but here we are. Social media can be an escape. It can also be a tool to learn from. But all too often, I'll get caught up in the trap of binge watching other people live their internet life, because it's not their actual life. It's just what's posted on the internet, instead of going and living mine, right? We often will fill our lives with screen time and we'll see, oh my gosh, like I spent 4 hours on my phone watching other people post on the internet of not even their actual life, just what they want their internet life to be like. So stop binge watching life. That's a reminder that hit me hard. I have to be reminded of it, and we'll move forward from there. Number 11, be mindful of the seeds that you plant today. This one's a kind of a unique one because it took me a really long time in life to realize and learn that the choices we make today will impact us tomorrow. Right? The life that we live in the future is created by what we choose to do today. And what I've learned is that it's a lot harder for stress and anxiety to overwhelm you when you're doing everything that you can do, right? When you know that I've done all I can do, then when it comes or when that happens in the moment, all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I did everything I can do. I don't need to stress or be anxious about it. Like it's going to be okay. So if you're planting seeds of doubt, and this is one of the biggest things that hit me when I was writing this down, if you are, there's a proverb that talks about a little folding of the hands to rest, basically doing nothing, right? If you don't plant in springtime, then there will be no harvest in the fall. So if you don't plant now, the characteristics and the disciplines and the things you want in life in the future, if you don't do that now, guess what? Do not be surprised when they don't show up tomorrow. So make sure that you are planting seeds of joy, excitement, good work, somebody who is trustworthy and a hard worker, in all the things that you need to be successful in life, but not just be successful, but to be a good spouse, to be a good husband, to be a good father or mother, whatever that may look like for you. Make sure that the seeds you're planting today will build the future that you want, not, maybe sit and watch Netflix for a whole day. You can do that every once in a while, but don't make that your norm. Number 12, fight for your joy. This is one that is so important to me. In fact, for years, it was my screensaver on my phone. Fight for your joy. There's a scene in Iron Man 2 where Nick Fury comes up to Iron Man. He's in the donut shop and he says, what's going on? And Iron Man says, my friend Rhodey took my suit. And Nick Fury has this incredible line. He says, oh, wait, hold on. He just took your suit? You're Iron Man. He just came up, kicked your ass, and took your suit. And it's a reminder that we give other people so much power and we give them so much ability to, so much control over our thoughts, right? Where people will take our thoughts and they'll almost put them in prison by the way they act or by the way they talk to us or how we experience throughout the day, right? We do this when we go to work and somebody says something specific and then we're like, oh, and our joy is just completely stolen. Like they're a thief in the night that steals our joy. All the while, we have to remember that we hold the key to that prison. We don't need to remain locked up. We can fight for our joy. And so don't let a momentary experience like that steal the joy that you have control over. There's the comment of like how many seconds are in a day, or if you had, I don't know the exact number, but it's like if every second was a dollar throughout the day, you would have billions of dollars or whatever, or millions of dollars. And what would $10 be out of that? It's like nothing. So that's what 10 seconds of your day of somebody being negative. Like you don't have to give them so much power and control over you. You can fight for your joy, because joy at the end of the day, I think, is what really drives us. You can have a bad day, but if you are filled with joy, that bad day can still have some light and it can still have the moments where you recognize the rainbows in the midst of the storm. Number 13, remember history, then make it. I do not remember how old I was when I wrote this down, but this is a part of my life that has always stuck with me. In fact, I used to have it on it was one of those like painted license plates that you can get. And I remember it was like a Superman thing, and it said, remember history, then make it. And I absolutely love this because I know so many people who are trying to remember history and they're trying to get back to the old, right? Oh man, if only I had my ex again, or if only I was in this job again, or if only I was here, or if only I didn't have bills. That's one that I feel. Life would be better. But a lot of people do that. A lot of people want to go back because they're afraid that what's in the future will never be as good as what's in the past. But I think it's completely flipped. What's in the future will always be better than what's in the past, as long as you look at the past accurately and you remember it accurately. And then you have the mentality of what I do today will actually create a better future. So if you want to get that feeling that you had in the past, you need to look at that feeling and remember it very well. What did you do to get that feeling? Who were you around and what type of people, not just who, like as a singular who, but who were the people that you are around and what did that relationship look like? And then who's in your life right now and how can you recreate some of the building blocks and the relationship and the things, the characteristics that you did that built that relationship and friendship and those moments. And how can you build those today so that in the future, it's not only going to be that same feeling, but it's going to be a better feeling because it's with new people or a new experience and a new opportunity with more maturity where you can actually handle it a lot better than you handled it previously because now you have the experience. So remember history, then make it. Number 14, you are not a perfectionist. You are simply just procrastinating. This is one that I think is extremely important for nowadays because I meet so many people who say, I'm a perfectionist. I want to get it right. No, I spent so many years of my life avoiding things that I could fail at because I was so afraid of what people would think of me, right? I thought that they were going to look at me as if the world collapsed if I failed. And so I wouldn't do things that I knew I had the option of failure. And what it did was I'd procrastinate and I would just avoid everything. I would avoid learning. I would avoid building skills. I would procrastinate on all of the basic things that humans need to know how to do, whether it was taxes or learning how to do specific things, learning how to budget, all of that stuff. I would avoid all of that for no reason other than the fact that I felt like I was failing. Failure is really good. Failure is really, really good. You don't always get better by winning. If you only win, then you need to check and see who you're actually playing against. Because if you are only winning in life, then most likely your opponents are not that good. That's just the reality of it. Sometimes you need to up your challenge mode, up your difficulty, right? You need to go from one league to the next league. In baseball, you have the single A, double A, then triple A, and then it goes to the major leagues. Maybe you're in the double A and you've been crushing it there, and you need to actually go to the triple A league to realize, you know what? Other people are up here. You need to force and challenge yourself because the more you do, if you avoid that, you're just going to think you're much better than you actually are. And I've known a lot of people in my life, including myself, who have gone a long time thinking I was much better at certain things than I actually was. And that doesn't hurt anybody but yourself. You need bases. This is number 15. You need bases, not home runs. One of my favorite movies is Moneyball. And it's the movie with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. Absolutely love it. It's about the Oakland A's. But one of the things that they determine is they need runners on base and they need base hits. They don't need power hitters all the time. They just need people to get on base. And the more people who are on base at the same time, the more runs that can be scored. Basically, that's how they won. Now, it's a movie, so it's dramatized. Don't take everything from movies, please. However, I do think that this is a viable lesson and a valuable lesson for life, is that in life, there are going to be certain things that we want to swing for the fence. We want to hit a home run. But the reality is we just need to get on base. And the more base hits you get, the more confidence you have when you step into the box. And when you step into that batter's box and you're facing a really difficult pitcher, if you've gotten on base and you're getting hits a lot, You can step in with confidence of knowing, hey, you know what? I can get on base because my job is to get on base. And you start celebrating those little wins. And every once in a while, you're going to get a hold of one. You're going to knock it out of the park. I promise you, you will. But the goal is to get on base. So celebrate the small victories. Celebrate when you get a base hit. Celebrate when you have a great conversation with a manager at work, or celebrate when you have a great conversation with a client or a contact or somebody who you are trying to build a relationship with. Celebrate when the girl texts back. Celebrate those things. Don't go over your, don't go too crazy, but celebrate those, because a lot of times we just need base hits. And we don't need to worry about the home runs. Those will come. Number 16, the 6 Ps. The six Ps are proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. I don't think I need to really explain that one too much, but I do like the 6 Ps a lot, in that the fact that the better you prepare and when you actually prepare, it can really impact. And I say this a lot in my work, because I work in sales. Few minutes of preparation before a call can be so valuable when you get on that call. Even if it's just 1 minute of looking up, hey, what's this person been up to lately? Or, hey, I just need to confirm this person's name. I just need to confirm the last client or the last thing that we worked on, the last project that we worked on together. Let's go into this with remembering, hey, last time, what did I talk about? Oh, here are my notes. Oh, yeah, I talked about, his kid was graduating. I wonder how that's going. I wonder if they're looking at colleges. And all of a sudden, that little bit of preparation can make you seem so much more intelligent. And it's extremely valuable. Number 17, be about it. Be about it. What does that exactly mean? I think that a lot of people will talk about life, and they'll talk about the grind. They'll talk about the way of life that they want to live, and they live internet lives, right? They post on internet of all the things that they want to do, or they repost all the things that they are about, but they don't really do it. And one of the things I've learned is that the people who are about that life, they don't need to hear about that life. They just go and do it. So be about it. Just go and do it. At the end of the day, someone's going to ask you, how do you do this? Or why do you do this? Or what's going on? Honestly, just be about it. Don't worry about what everybody else is thinking. You don't need to hear about it. Just go do it. Whatever you want to do, go do it. I have a coworker who he's continually says, I wish I could be like you and wake up in the morning and go work out. I'm like, you could. Just go do it. There's nothing that's stopping you from doing that. The only thing that's stopping you is you. And the sooner you realize it, the better. Number 18, life is not fast food. This is another good lesson that I've had to learn, is the fact that sometimes we want things to be really quick, and then sometimes we want things to be high quality, and we can't always have both. And there's a reason why you can't get a 5-star meal from a 5-star chef or a Michelin chef at a fast food joint, right? There's not a get rich quick scheme. There's not an ability to just go through the drive-through or order on Amazon the skills you need or the mentality that you need to be able to overcome whatever obstacle you're facing. Oftentimes, the only way out is through. And so you have to put in the time and effort to build the skills and to develop the strength that it takes in that moment to overcome that obstacle. You can't just go through drive-through and be like, yeah, well, I'm going to take a number 2 with an extra side of David Goggins, and we're also going to drink a little bit of the Joe Rogan Experience, and that's going to get us there. Nope. You can listen to all the podcasts. You can listen to this podcast. You can read as many books as you want, but unless you actually go and do it, you're actually not going to be able to overcome those moments when they happen. You may know a lot about it, but knowing a lot about something and then doing something, very different things. So life is not fast food. There's no easy way around it. If you want a 5-course, 5-star meal, then you've got to put the time and the effort and develop the flavors for your life to look like a 5-course, 5-star meal. Number 19, you don't need 10,000 hours to be good at something. Oh, this one's difficult, right? Because the saying is that you need 10,000 hours to become an expert at something, right? If you want to be an expert or master something, a skill, you need to pour 10,000 hours into it. Most people think that's way too many hours. That's difficult. I can't do that. But what I've learned in life is that you don't need to be an expert. In fact, 99.9% of the people who do something or have a specific skill are never going to become experts of it because they are way more passionate about other things. They're not passionate about that. You're not Mozart where all you can do is eat, sleep, and do music, right? Some people, that's what they do, and that's where they become masterful at it. They gain so much mastery over one craft or one specific skill because that's all they ever do. Most of us, we're not going to do that, but we do want to be good at something. And what I've learned is if you put a couple hours here and there into something, you will gain knowledge and gain experience and gain wisdom and gain skill that you didn't have before. And most people don't even put 10 hours into something. So if you put 100 hours or 1,000 hours into something, you can still be really good at it. You can be exceptional at something. You may not be an expert and you may not be a master craft of like that one specific skill. But if you're trying to gain a skill, stop looking at it as I have to put in all of my eggs into this basket and only do this. Nope, you can do a lot of other things. As long as you put a little bit of time into it, that time will compound and you will get much, much better at it. And before long, you will be really good at it. And being good at something, being good at a skill, it transverses into other areas of your life. So whether it's working out or being in a great relationship or being in a specific dynamic or work, you're going to get better and better at it. So just don't be afraid of it. Don't think you have to put all of your time into one thing, but you do need to put a little bit of time. And that as you do it more and more throughout your week, throughout your month, throughout your year, you're going to be much, much better at the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year. And most people, what they do is they say, oh, I need to do this. They put all of their time into 1 week and then they stop. And so they get through maybe, let's say, 80 hours in 1 week. But if you do 2 hours a week for the entire year, you're going to be well over 100 hours. It's all you need. Just keep going a little bit at a time. You're going to get better and better. Number 20, it's not okay to be okay with not being okay. I'm going to say that again because this one is a little confusing. It's not okay to be okay with not being okay. I want to be very clear here because I agree with the phrase or with the saying, it's okay to not be okay. I 100% believe in that. I agree with it. Here's the thing, and I've seen this in my own life. We all feel not okay at times, and it is okay to not be okay. But what I have recognized in my life is there are times when I become okay with not being okay. And I turn into this apathetic, for a lack of better terms, a sore loser. And I don't mean that to worry you. I mean it to just be honest. I become a complete sore loser because I am okay with not being okay. In fact, I'm so okay with it that I get comfortable with being not okay. And that's why sometimes it is really important for therapy or counseling to come along and snap you out of it, to recognize that the way you think is not okay. You are lying to yourself or you are damaging yourself by saying those harsh things about who you are or about your past or about those people. And it's not okay anymore. What I don't want us to do is I don't want us to be so comfortable with being not okay that we never try to be okay again. And of course, we're all going to feel it. We're all going to experience, but I truly believe that it is not okay to be okay with not being okay. You're going to be thinking about that for like a week. Like, what the hell did he just say? I am so confused right now. But think about it. Because at the end of the day, we want to be uncomfortable. And it's okay to not be okay, right? It's okay to know that, oh, things aren't going the way that I want them to. Things aren't going well. Things are kind of all over the place. That's absolutely okay. But what we need to do is we need to feel that uncomfortability and say, okay, how do I get back to that normalcy? How do I get back to where things are okay? I need to work and I need to be mindful of it. Maybe it is just you need to rest, because in some cases, all we need to do is eat and sleep. And then we're going to wake up and we're going to be like, oh, you know what? I'm okay now. But what we don't want to do is we don't want to be completely apathetic to the fact that things are off. And we need to recognize it. Because the sooner we recognize it, the more we can get back on track. And if we never get back on track, what we end up doing is we pull people down with us. When I was a lifeguard, drowning people are dangerous to everybody around them because they start lashing out and they become frantic. And oftentimes we were taught, if they're flailing, knock them out, because that's the only way that you can save their life. Because if they start frantically moving left and right or waving their arms, they might hit you with a errant elbow and knock you out, and then you drown, and then they drown. So you just have to recognize that there are moments that we really need to be really uncomfortable and say, you know what, I'm not okay right now, and that's okay for now. But if I wake up tomorrow and I'm not okay, that's not okay, and we need to do something about it. That one's heavy, and I know. Number 21, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Oh, man, I used to think that I could do anything. In fact, in some areas of my life, I still think I can do anything. And you know what? I'm not wrong. I do think that we as humans have the ability to do so many things. In a lot of cases, yeah, I can. I recognize there are areas in my life where it's like, oh, all I need to do is power through. I can just not sleep and just do this and I'll get it done. You know, if I have a specific deadline, I can do that. Yeah, sure. Let's go. Boom. I can do anything. Well, as I've learned and as I've grown older, there's a difference between the things I can do and the things I know I should do. For instance, there's times when I know that staying up later, I can get a lot of work done. There are times when I know that I can push myself a little harder. There are times when I know that, you know what, I could probably outwork this person, or I could outwork this moment. But it comes at a cost. I remember in my 20s, in my late 20s, I kind of looked at it like this, where it didn't matter what obstacle was in my way. I was going to run through it, right? I could run through a brick wall. And in my 20s, I knew I could run through a brick wall. All I have to do is lower my shoulder and hit it hard enough. And occasionally I would hit a wall and it wouldn't budge. And so I would say, this isn't going to stop me. And I would run at it even harder. And sometimes I would run into the wall 6-7 times. And by the time it finally broke, or by the time I finally broke, my body was completely wrecked. And there may be walls that you come up against. And just because you can run through it doesn't mean you should. Maybe that obstacle needs to be there. And maybe you need to learn and develop skills to get around that obstacle without running through it. Because I found myself completely mangled, where I would run through a brick wall and be like, yeah, let's go. I ran through the brick wall. Holy cow. My arms and legs are broken and my entire mental is shattered. And it puts you out for a while when you don't necessarily need to do that. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you always should. Valuable lesson. Number 22, people remember how you made them feel. There's, I think it's Maya Angelou that said, people won't remember what you said, people won't remember what you did, but people will remember how you made them feel. And I live by this. I think it's a very valuable thing that at the end of the day, people will remember how you made them feel. So if you are the smartest person in the room and you try to be the smartest person in the room, or you try to sound intelligent, sometimes people will take that as feeling belittled or feeling dumb when they're around you. I have no desire to be the smartest person in the room. I genuinely don't care. I Whatever room I walk into, I have one goal. I'm going to be the kindest person in the room. And I will fight to be the kindest person in the room because I know for a fact that people will remember kindness over intelligence. People will remember that warm feeling that they get when they talk to you. They won't remember the fact that you know how to do multiplication like crazy. I mean, they may if you're like a magician or something like that. But again, I'm not looking to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be the kindest because I know that when you make somebody feel warm and welcome, they will reciprocate that to an extent. And that's a very valuable thing in recognizing that it's not about how much you know in life. It's about how you can impact people and how people feel around you. See, I want to be somebody who, when I walk in a room, people feel a little bit of a weight off of their shoulders. I want people to feel welcome. I want people to feel warm. I want people to know that I'm somebody they can talk to if they need to talk to. And in order to do that, you have to really open up yourself and lay aside your pride and lay aside your desire to be the first one to raise your hand and answer the question. And sometimes you just need to sit and listen or just simply ask the right question of, hey, how are you actually feeling? I noticed that you were walking with a limp, or I noticed that you kind of sighed a little bit heavy there. Are you okay? Like, what's going on? I'm here to listen. If you don't want to talk about it, fine. I'll be here. I'm okay. If you just recognize, I can't tell you the amount of people, and I'll never forget. I have one specific person in my life that I will never, ever forget this moment. We were not close. We did not know each other well. And we had lunch or dinner at like a Mexican restaurant. And I will never forget, after the conversation, she gave me a hug goodbye. And I had never felt that accepted based on our conversation. I had never felt so warm and embraced as that hug. And it has been one of my life goals ever since that hug is to do that with every person I meet. I want them to feel that every time. And it's a very unique feeling, but it's so much better than, feeling intelligent or feeling smart or walking away feeling important. You walk away and you know that you were warm that day. Number 23, we move on. Learn to slow down. This is a very quick one, but I do think it's valuable because a lot of times we will move at the speed of life, I call it, and life moves very quickly. And oftentimes when we don't know how to slow down, we will be moving so incredibly fast that we'll miss the signs that say there are sharp turns ahead. You might want to slow down, but we'll be moving so fast that we'll just, we're going, boom. And then that sharp turn will happen and we will crash so hard. And I cannot tell you how many times I've experienced in the 36 years of life, but it is up there in the hundreds where I was moving way too fast and ignored the signs and completely crashed and burned. And the sad thing is in some cases, when we do that, sometimes we have passengers with us. Maybe they're relationships, maybe they're friendships that are really close. And when we crash and burn, we actually crash with that other person because they're passengers on our journey. It is okay to slow down at times. In fact, it is recommended to slow down at times because if you are going 60 on hairpin turns and you are not a professional driver, you will crash. And whoever's in the car with you or whoever's on the journey with you will crash with you. And it can cause a lot of damage. And I speak from experience. So learn to slow down at times. Recognize what's going on around you. And it's okay to not be go, 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 go. It's okay to take a breath and say, you know what? We're just going to take the day. We're going to slow down and recognize what's going on around us. And maybe we'll take these turns real slow. And maybe we could go faster. But at the end of the day, we're going to get there. We're not going to be completely broken up about it. Number 24, seeing is believing. This one I've talked about on the podcast before, but one of the biggest things about it is we need to see the things that we're doing in life. Sometimes we feel like we are not doing enough, or we aren't enough, or we aren't capable of handling the stress and anxiety that we're facing because we don't see that what we've done in the past or what we're doing in the present is beneficial. Sometimes we just don't see that it's impactful, and we don't see the importance of it. And we have to train ourselves to see what's going on in our lives and to see the good things in our lives and to see the great things that are happening all around us. We need to train our eyes to see it because then we'll start to believe it. And it's kind of like when you go on like a road trip. We used to play, punch buggy or, a game like that where you're looking, I spy with my little eye, right? Something orange. Well, you may not have seen anything orange, but as soon as you are trained on orange, oh, now I have to see something that's orange. All of a sudden you see everything that's orange around you. When you start training yourself to see a certain color or a certain car, you'll see them everywhere. And we have to do the same thing where we train ourselves to see the good moments and the victories in our day-to-day. In the mundane, we need to see the skills that we're using, how we're using it, and all of the beneficial things that are happening, because that is the stuff that when we start recognizing, oh, I saw that. Oh man, today was so rough. But that conversation I had, I was really excited about the way that I verbalized that. I'm working on my social skills. I'm really glad I went out after work and got a drink with my coworkers, even though I wanted to go home and sleep. I'm working on development skills and art skills, or I'm working on communication skills. I'm really glad that I said yes to presenting to the group this week. That's going to really challenge me. Those are the type of things that we need to see in our lives, because then we'll start believing that, yes, I can do this. And we'll stop lying to ourselves and saying, I couldn't do that. I know so many people who will say, oh my gosh, like you were running a podcast, I could never do that. I bet you could. I absolutely bet you could. Because I, at one point, thought the same thing. And then we just did it. Number 25, we need reminders. This is we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. I'm a firm believer of this. And it kind of goes along with seeing and believing, right? And seeing those good things. I have a hot take where I think that a lot less people would feel depressed if we stopped talking about all the things we didn't have or all the things we were missing out, and we started talking to each other with kindness and reminded them of all the cool things that are going on in their lives and the good things that are happening. I think that more people would be more excited about the present and the future, no matter what side of the political spectrum they're on, but or what their belief system were. But if more people spoke and said, you are doing a great job, I can't wait to see what you do. Let's keep encouraging you. This is awesome. This is great. I was watching a reel earlier, and somebody was talking about how they just aren't feeling well and how this person was annoying them. And that person was with them on the podcast. They said, wait, what are you talking about? Like, this is all the stuff that's going on. And they listed like 20 things that were exciting and awesome. And at the end of it, that person was like, okay, wait, you're actually right. Like, how did you just Jedi mind trick me into this? No, people just need to be reminded that their life, that they have breath, that they have an opportunity to do amazing things. And yes, they may be going through something very difficult, but I promise you that if more people reminded them of how strong they were and how amazing things can be and how much hope we have that tomorrow is going to be better and what they are doing right and the things that are going well, they would actually have an idea and would start believing that, yes, tomorrow could be better. I firmly believe that. That's me. Number 26, practice makes better. There's no such thing as perfect. I'm sure you've heard the phrase practice makes perfect. You've probably even heard the phrase perfect practice makes perfect. I call absolute BS on this. I personally I disagree. I highly disagree. I am somebody who chased perfection-ish for a long time. And I say chased perfection because really I was procrastinating. That was a lesson earlier, right? But I just call complete BS on this. I think that if you're pursuing perfection, then you will constantly be just disappointed and you'll be upset with yourself. If you are expecting perfection from somebody else, you'll be upset with them. I think practice makes better. There's no such thing as perfect. And I don't say that in the sense of there isn't a such thing as perfect, because I believe that there are certain aspects of life that can seem perfect, even though they can always be better. But I think Jesus is perfect, but that's just me. I genuinely think that when it comes to perfection and perfect and practice, you will always be better and you can always be better. And if you fall in love with that, then you're going to move forward and you're always going to move forward. It's kind of like Kobe Bryant. Like, he had this drive about him that he just would not stop. He would outwork himself, and he would outwork himself every single day, because the only person that he was trying to be better than was himself. And so he would get better and better and better and better, and he would always find new ways to be better than he was the day before. And that's what we need to do in our life, whether it's with our friends, with our relationships, with our colleagues, with our careers, with our school, with our job, whatever it might be, with our family. We need to practice to be better, not practice to be perfect. Because if you are focused on perfection, you will always be disappointed. Just a thought. Number 27. We are barreling through these, by the way. And this is by far probably one of the longest podcasts that I've ever done solo, but I'm absolutely loving it. I really hope you are too. So I really hope that you will listen, drop a follow, share this with people, all that good stuff, because this is a blast. I need to do more of these longer podcasts and prep for them, because this is, and for me, this is one of my favorite podcasts I've ever recorded. And we're not even done yet. So number 27, you cannot win a game that never ends. We were just talking about this with practice and the goal. Once you realize that the feeling of winning, that moment of when you win, that feeling fades really quickly. And it oftentimes it's much quicker than the length it took to get to wherever you are, or the journey that it took. Once you get to that point and you realize, oh, shoot, like that was great and all, but now I kind of miss working towards something. All of a sudden, you start enjoying that journey then on the next thing that you're pursuing a lot more than the destination. So sometimes you'll find yourself adding on little bits here and there of like, I wonder if I can do this, but also this. And then all of a sudden you realize you're starting to kind of overtake that, and you start adding little bits on of, okay, so on my way to this journey, I wonder if I can also balance and grow on this area that complements. And so you start building out and growing, and your journey becomes the fun. The destination's awesome. And I think all of us need to have goals of some sort, and we need to have destinations because that gives us direction. But I do think that you need to have the understanding that the journey is where all of the memories are made. And yes, there will be a memory one day of you reaching a specific goal. But after that is done, that feeling is going to go away, right? We know about this because of all of the actors and actresses that have won, all the awards. We know about this because all of the athletes that have won championships and MVPs and all the things that go along with it. That feeling fades. Now, it's good to have that feeling and pursue that feeling, because I do think that becomes motivation and encouragement, but it also can go to your head, and it can do the opposite, where it makes you feel like there's nothing else out there to chase. That's just not true. We can always be better. And if we are going in a game, and if we're playing in a game of life that never ends as far as getting better and better and better, because life will end at one point, we need to think of it as a game that's not ending. Like, you know what? Today, my goal is this, and I want to get as good as I can at this specific skill. And then the next day, the same thing. And you continue to enjoy that journey of like, oh, this is the fun part. the work that I'm putting into. This is the part that I'm going to look back on and miss. I can't tell you how many football players I've listened to their retirement speech where they talk about how much they're just going to miss the random Tuesday or Wednesday practice with the guys. Or how many soccer players, the female soccer players that have retired from, World Cup winning soccer, right? They won the World Cup, the greatest thing. But then when they retire, they talk about, I'm going to miss playing with these girls. There's moments where, yes, it's great to have that end goal. But the thing we're going to miss at the end of our life is striving and excitement and the pursuit of pushing through, of waking up when you want to stay in bed. Those moments where you look back and you say, nope, that's where I developed my character. That's what's important. Number 28. We just did a podcast on this, but number 28 is Nunc Cepi, begin again. Latin phrase, now I begin. I am so invigorated by Mondays because Monday was originally known as Moon Day. It's a day of beginning. And so for me, Mondays are this day where I begin again. But sometimes my Thursdays are also a Monday where I need to begin again because I've learned that life is just a series of beginning again and again, right? It's not about when you lose your way or when you get off the path. It's about how quickly you will get back on the path and begin again. I firmly believe that the more comfortable we are with beginning again, the quicker we will get back on the horse when we fall off. And the quicker we get back on the horse, the less disparity or the less area that we go through or the less time that we spend in that depressed state or in that state of feeling bad for ourselves, or the less time we just spend walking in the wrong direction. And we get back on that path, we get back on that horse, and we get going again. So Nunc Cepi, begin again. Make sure that that is in your repertoire or in your vocabulary, that every single day that you need to begin again. Maybe you had a really rough day. Maybe you go through a breakup. Maybe you lose your job, whatever. Now I begin. We go back to work. We do what we need to do, and we get it done. Number 29, the giants inside of you are more dangerous than the giants outside of you. I'm going to say that again. Number 29 is the giants inside of you are more dangerous than the giants outside of you. Now, I'm a firm believer in the Bible, and one of the Bible stories that has impacted me the most, it's why this podcast is named Bears and Lions, is the story of David and Goliath. And we often will look at things that are going on in life and we will view them as Goliaths that we have to slay. We have to destroy it. And we have to cut it down, or we have to work for it, and we have to earn it, and we have to do all those things. But the reality is the most dangerous giant is always inside of us, because it's the fear that comes with it. It's the fear of failure. It's the fear. It's not the actual thing. Most of us are not actually afraid of sending just an email, but we are afraid of sending a specific email. Most of us are not afraid to have a phone call. We'll call somebody right now. But if it's a phone call when she says, hey, we need to talk, and you know what it's about to be about, nobody wants to have that phone call. Fear is one of the giants that we have to take down. And that's what's really, really difficult in life, is recognizing that there are Goliaths that are inside of us. And those are the ones that are much more dangerous than the Goliaths outside. The things that we are going to pursue and the things that we are going to come up against, the things that we are going to struggle against outside, externally, they're not as scary as the feelings of depression or the feelings of anxiety that we fill ourselves and the worry that takes place, right? We will plague ourselves and procrastinate ourselves and overthink ourselves into a complete frenzy if we're not careful, because inside of us are voices that tell us you are not good enough. You are not going to be able to do it. You've never done anything like this before. She's going to say no. She doesn't like you. She doesn't want you. We are going to hear all sorts of these violent and horrible voices that are going to say all these things that are going to impact the way that we step into the present. And I am here to tell you that those are the giants that have to be slain. Those are the giants that we have to root out, and we have to fight on a constant day-to-day battle where we force them into exhaustion. So whether it's working out or having a mental fortitude or having a group of close friends or having a therapist that helps you root out those voices and say, hey, nope, that's a lie. Don't listen to it. And one of the things that I've learned is if you can start naming the lies that are going on in your head, you can start developing and understanding that that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. And if you start naming every lie, you can start chasing everything else, because whatever is not a lie is most likely a truth. And that's what you want to be pursuing. And so you just have to, nope, that's a lie. I can do this. Nope, that's a lie. I've done this in the past. Nope, that's a lie because she said she wanted to go out. She's just busy. Nope, that's a lie. I'm not going to believe that this job isn't for me because it has all the skills that have already. I've already, shown that I can do this job. This is going to be a good conversation. The giants inside of us are more dangerous than the giants outside of us. Firmly believe that. Number 30, one step is one less to take. I was 24 years old when I first said this, and I wrote this down in my journal. In fact, when I left one of my jobs, I had worked for Panera, and I moved down to South Louisiana to work in that whole area, that region of Louisiana, as a training manager. And I helped open restaurants. I helped open Panera Breads. And I also helped train managers and staff. Did like 5 grand openings. I think I trained over 400 staff, or maybe 300 staff. And then I trained 3 general managers, or was a part of training 3 general managers and 5 assistant managers. And when I left the Panera in Tennessee to go do that in Louisiana, I viewed it as this step that I needed to take. And I'd always viewed that I took a lot of steps forward and then a lot more steps back. But the reality is every time you take a step forward, that's one step less that you have to take in the future, because you learn how to take that step forward. And when you learn how, okay, now I know that if I step to the right, it's stronger, or if I step to the left, I'm going to avoid this branch. And so you learn, and yes, sometimes you will take 1 step forward and 2 steps back, but it's not every time. Sometimes you'll take 1 step forward, then 1 step forward, then 1 step forward, then 1 step forward, and then 2 steps back, and then 1 step forward, and 1 step forward, and 1 step forward. And before you know it, you will have taken the steps required to get to where you're going. And one of the ways that you climb a flight of stairs is 1 step at a time. And in order to do that, you just have to keep going. So 1 step is 1 less to take. Maybe you're afraid to take the first step. That's understandable. Take it anyway. Because if you take the first step and fail, guess what? You're going to learn 1 step not to take. And then you're going to go and do it again. And next time you're going to take a step a little bit different. Oh, yep, that worked. Okay, that's 1 step. I know how to do this. And then you keep going. And each level, it gets harder and harder and harder. And yes, sometimes you will miss it and take a couple steps down. But every single time you learn a little bit more about who you are as a person, and you gain a little bit of skill here and there. So very important lesson. 31, standard operating procedures are a must. Now, I love standard operating procedures. They're also known as SOPs. But standard operating procedures, I view them kind of like a harness, where the very difficult way to success, or to your goals, or to your dreams, or your passions, or the things that you're pursuing, it's a narrow way. And I kind of view it as SOPs are the harness that keep you close and safer on moving. And if you fall, that harness holds you to where all you have to do is stand up. That harness, if you are doing an SOP, or if you have SOPs in your standard operating procedures, meaning you go to bed at a certain time, you wake up at a certain time, you work out, You eat certain foods to feel healthy, right? You don't want to just eat whatever for whatever. Diets are terrible in the sense of, oh, I have to eat this because this. No, you should eat food that makes you feel best energy filled, like the most energy you can have. You should eat the foods that do that, not the foods that are horrible for you, but the foods that make you feel good, that are healthy for you, and they're all combined. And there's a lot of food that you can eat that's like junk food, but it's still good for you. I'm telling you right now, there are foods out there. I eat pizza and ice cream and all that stuff, cheese and whatnot. Don't eat it in excess, but I eat what I need to eat to feel the best I can feel and get the protein, because I think protein is probably most important. This is not talking about food. Standard operating procedures, though. If you have standard operating procedures and you know you go to sleep at a certain time, you wake up at a certain time, things can happen. You can have rough days. You can go through different moments. You can have these experiences, but standard operating procedures will pull you out of the frustration. And if you wake up at a certain time, right, my mental clock will wake me up right around 5 a.m. at this point. And I love that because on days off, when I need to get up, I can get up. In fact, recently I had a night where I was out way too late and I still woke up the next morning. And I remember I was like, oh, I just need to sleep in. But then I thought about it and I was like, nope, you know what? I'm glad this SOP is going to keep me, this standard operating procedure is going to keep me from overcorrecting to where Monday, when I want to go to work and I want to wake up and I want to work out, I've been waking up early. I don't have Monday jet lag. I don't have weekend jet lag. I can get up. We're going to go do it. And it's one of the coolest things that I've learned in the last few years, because this only happened in the last probably 2-3 years, is learning how to create those operating procedures in your life that are going to keep you more focused and almost like a harness where, yeah, you're going to fall off sometimes, but it's going to keep you a lot closer to that edge than you would have previously, or if you don't have those standard operating procedures. Number 32, we all need some soul fashion. Now, I like the term soul fashion. Fashion in and of itself is pretty cool. I'm trying to learn how to be more fashionable, mostly because like we have to as men and single men. If you want to get a date, like period, you just have to wear nice clothes. That's something that I'm learning. So I'm trying to be more fashionable, but soul fashion's a little bit different, because I remember writing, this was like in 2018, I was writing in my journal about soul fashion and how it impacts the rooms that we're in. And soul fashion is not just how you present yourself, like physically. Soul fashion is how you connect to other people on a soul level. So it's how you present yourself emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, in a conversation, conversationally. Soul fashion is how you walk into a room and it allows us to match an energy that is in that room. If you walk into a room and you are loud and obnoxious and everybody in the room is quiet, you are going to stick out like a sore thumb. But if you walk into a room and everybody's having a good time and laughing and smiling, and you walk in completely just frustrated and, you know, just horrible, like upset, annoying. Today was depressed. Today was the worst, right? And everybody's having a good time. Guess what? You're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Like, geez, who brought Kyle here? Get that guy out of here. He's a buzzkill. He's terrible. Soul fashion allows us to put on what we need to put on to match the energy in the room. And we need to work on our soul fashion, because I think it is a skill that you can learn and develop to where when you recognize something, right? You go into a room and you recognize, hey, this is kind of like an important moment. Like, have you ever walked into a room and you're like, am I messing with something right now? Do I need to come back later? Like, we need to be able to recognize that there are certain moments for certain emotions. And sometimes you will be in a room or you'll have a phone call with a friend or you'll be meeting with a friend, and it is not a moment to crack a joke. It's a moment to just hold their hand and say, I got you. I cannot tell you the amount of podcasts and the amount of people and the amount of studies that I've read or listened to where it's talked about the power of just being present can impact somebody. And sometimes it has nothing to do with, oh, you know, I know how you feel. I understand how you feel, or I understand what you're going through. It has nothing to do with that. In fact, oftentimes that just makes it worse. Sometimes it has everything to do with, I don't need to say anything. Just know that I'm right here. And being able to have the soul fashion to wear that and wear your heart on your sleeve, or to recognize the energy that's in the room, I think is extremely valuable. And it makes you come across. People will recognize your fashion in the sense of, kind of like what I said, when you're the kindest person in the room, they'll remember how you made them feel. Soul fashion is that next level of where you know how to match that energy so that people feel heard and loved and, hopeful, or experience that moment that they need to experience, whatever the situation is. So it may be a birthday party and they need to feel surprised, or they need to feel excited. You need to be able to match that energy. It may be a moment of extreme somber, like a death of a loved one. They don't need to laugh in that moment. They don't need to feel uppity in that moment. They don't need a plethora of positivity. Maybe in that moment, they just need somebody who will cry with them. And being able to have soul fashion to put that on and match that energy will deepen your relationships and deepen your friendships to the nth degree. And I cannot express this enough. It's so important to be able to read the room and to match that energy at times and say, I'm going to put aside my pride here. And I know I'm feeling really good, but everybody in this room seems like they're not feeling really good. And I'm not going to rub it in their face because I just got a promotion and this happened and this happened. I am going to meet them where they are. It can be about me another time. We can celebrate another time. But being able to set yourself aside and set your own desires aside and die to yourself and just say, nope, right now I need to put on this jacket, put on a hat, and just kind of chill with them. That's what's needed. Number 33. You can't take everyone with you. This is from the book Mind Shift by Erwin Raphael McManus. This was a big one that hit me more recently. This was in the last year or so. One of the hardest lessons that I've ever had to learn is that you can't take everybody. Some people just aren't meant to journey life with you. And it sucks because I've met some incredible people in my life. In fact, some of them I've never felt more alive. Some of them I've never felt more excited about life. Some of them have been, it's like just being around them just invigorated my soul to want to be the best version of myself. And I know that it's hard because I've met those people. And even though they made me feel that way, we were only crossing paths for a certain amount of time. We weren't on this journey and we weren't going the same directions. And I'm just grateful that I got to experience it. I'm just thankful that I had the opportunity to be around them and to feel what I felt for that time. Not everybody is going to go with you into your future, and you need to be okay with that. And you need to let go of the people who you're trying to hold on to, because most likely you're either going in the wrong direction or you're holding them back from the direction that they need to go. And it's only damaging on yourself and the people that you're trying to hold on to. So just let them go and trust that you're going to meet other people that are going to move into your future. Doesn't always mean it's going to be immediate, and it doesn't mean they're going to give you the same feelings or the butterflies or the things that they give you. But you can't take them with you, and you have to be okay with that. Number 34, confidence takes time. I used to be 21, 22, 23, 24, and I had all the confidence in the world. And so when people would say, you can come off as a little arrogant, and be like, it's confidence. It's not cocky. Well, yeah, in some areas. I probably was pretty confident because I'd done it a bunch of times. But like I said before, I would only do certain things that I knew I wouldn't fail at. And so, yeah, it gave me confidence. I've I can do this, I can do that, and I can do this. I'm not going to try the things where I'm going to fail at. So I would be pretty confident at the things that I knew I could do. But I love this quote from Alex Hormozy, and I've read it on this podcast multiple times, but it just hits perfectly for this. You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And what that quote means, and what is so important about it, is confidence is built by doing, not by talking. Live your life. Go do a bunch of things. Don't talk about the podcasts you listen to or the books you've read. Go do things and find out for yourself how hard or how difficult or how easy certain things are. Because there are things in life that are really, really hard. And there are things that are going to be really easy for you, but they're really hard for others. And I can't tell you the amount of relationships and friendships and people that I've hurt because I was like, oh, it's easy. We can just do this. And they're like, what are you talking about? That's extremely, oh, no, I did in like a weekend. And they're like, I've spent the last year doing this and it's still really hard. I know that I want to be careful in saying this. There are people that I know right now that remind me of who I was in my 20s. And it's helping me understand that I knew a lot less than I thought I knew. And I was much more arrogant than I thought I was because I didn't have the undeniable proof that I was who I said I was. I said I was one thing because I wanted to be known as one thing. But the reality is I didn't live enough life or do enough to confidently and have undeniable proof that's who I was. Because as I went through life, the proof was in the pudding. I wasn't that person. I wasn't the person that I am today until today. I didn't start developing and learning all this stuff until after I went back to school at 27 and finished school at 30. And then COVID hit and completely shifted my entire life. That was when I really started developing the understanding that, you know what? I have a bunch of skills and that's undeniable because I can go back through and I have undeniable proof that these skills are there. But it wasn't until 2-3 years ago, probably, where I really started recognizing, nope, that was actually like all this stuff that I said when I was in my 20s was goofy and silly. And really, when you stack the undeniable proof, this is who I have said I am, and this is who I am. And I think that we all have this difficult question about us is, do we have proof that we are who we say we are? Because we all want to be known as something specific, but that doesn't mean we are actually that person. So confidence takes time. If you really want to be confident, and if you really want to know who you are, ask people around you. Consistently try to be the person that you want to be, but also build on that. If you want to be known as somebody who's trustworthy, you have to make trustworthy comments, trustworthy, contributions, trustworthy moments or phrases. If you want to be known as somebody who's kind, you need to be kind in every situation that you can be over a long period of time, because then it's not something that you have to say, oh yeah, I'm a kind person. No, it's something that people know about you. Because remember, like we talked about earlier, be about it. People who are about it don't need to hear about it or speak about it. They just do it. So confidence, it's a very difficult thing. Number 35. I can't believe it. We're almost done. We are almost there. I appreciate all of you who have stuck in and listened to this entire podcast. Wow, I can't believe it. It's like an hour and a half. Number 34. Nope, 35 now. I've lost my place because this is wild. Number 35, character is what you are in the dark. D.L. Moody said this. He was a reverend or a evangelist back in the 1800s. And it's also all over the place. John Wooden says it similar, but character is what you are in the dark, right? there was a Under Armour commercial that was really impactful for me with Michael Phelps. And he was training in the dark and all this stuff. And of course, Michael Phelps, just gold after gold after gold in all the Olympics that he competed in. But he was training in like a dark gym and all this stuff. And at the end of the commercial, it said, it's what you do in the dark. What you do in the dark is what puts you in the light. So rule yourself. And I feel like there are two sides of each of us. Each person and each one of us have these two sides. And we have the part where everybody can see, the outward part that's visible for all, whether it's the way you dress, the way you do your hair or not, whether you have hair, all that stuff, how you talk, all of this stuff outward, that's what's visible to others. And the second part that we all have that's a part of us is what's internal. Those are the thoughts you think when somebody cuts you off in the road. Those are the thoughts you think, or the little bits of the internal monologue that goes on when you're like, I hate that person. Or, I can't believe that they just got that promotion. They didn't deserve that. They suck. When the other guy gets the girl, what does he have that I don't have? That guy's a jerk. What's she have that I don't have, right? When you are in those moments, the internal part where nobody is looking, when nobody can see. And that's something that I challenge myself, and I've been challenging myself more and more over the last few years, is who am I when nobody's around? Does it match with the person that I want to be known as? Does it match with the character of and the quality of the person that I want to be? The character and the quality of the future husband or future father that I want to be. And it's difficult because there are times when I will be alone with nobody around, and those inner thoughts that nobody knows about don't match the outer actions that I do. So it's a very staunch reminder is what I should say, that character is what you are in the dark when nobody else can see. So if you really want to know who you are, spend some time alone or listen to that inner voice and those reactions that you have when things don't go your way. Are you cutting people down in your brain? Are you calling them names? Are you frustrated or angry? Or when you get alone, do you beat yourself up, or do you beat other people up mentally and say, they're such a jerk? I can't believe that. Why would they say that? Why would they do that? It's hard, but it's a valuable lesson, because the more you're able to master who you are in the dark, the more you'll find yourself in the light. Last, but certainly not least, and I've left this for last on purpose, number 36. For the 36 years that I've lived in my life and the 36 things that I think that everybody should know, your greatest future lies within the correct view of your past. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I have lied to myself about what I thought happened in the past. I was the victim. I was hurt. I was, broken up with. She was so mean to me. I didn't deserve to be treated that way, only to recognize that, oh, no, actually, I created that entire environment. I said a lot of hurtful things too, and I kind of did deserve that. The way that I treated this person, or the way that I treated this job, I deserved to be fired. The way that I reacted was horrible, and I lied to myself. I convinced myself that I was a good person in the moment. I was kind and I was respectful. Nope, I was disrespectful. I said horrible things, and there is not a surprise, and it does not shock me in the least bit that that was the outcome. When you accurately view your past, You see yourself in the light that you need to. And there are times when you are going to see that, oh, I was much more ugly and much worse. I've can't tell you the amount of times I've been around with friends and I've talked with them and I've been like, yeah, but I never did this. And they're like, yeah, you said that. I'm like, I never said that. Like, yeah, you did. Like, oh, I'm an a-hole. Like, I am so sorry. I've had people call me out on it too. And I think we all need people to call us out on it. So yes, we need people to help us accurately view the past. But here's the flip side of it too. When you accurately view the past, you learn, oh, yep, I was rude there. You also you need to meet it with humility to be able to say, yep, that wasn't handled well. I need to handle that better in the future. And then when it happens in the present, you say, no. I've reacted this way before and I was an a-hole. I was a jerk. I can't say that. You need to just breathe. You need to try a different thing. You need to do something else. Our greatest future lies within the correct view of our past. That's why I created this podcast. I am such a firm believer of it, because when you accurately view your past, what you do is you see the truth, and the truth sets you free to where you recognize what you did wrong, but it also helps you recognize what you did right. Because there are going to be so many things in your past, right? Where in your present, you come up and you're like, I could never do that. I don't know if I can do that. Go ask her out. She's cute and she's looking at you. Nope, I can't do that. Well, yes, you can, because you've talked to tons of people on a podcast. You've talked with tons of girls before. You've asked girls before for their number. Oh, I can't say yes to that promotion. I've never done that job before. I can't handle that amount of stress. Yes, you can, because you've done X, Y, and Z in your past where it's put you in positions to expedite and delegate and figure out how to solve problems. You are smart, you are intelligent, you are capable, you are loved. You have already shown that you can do all the things that you need to do in this moment. And I can't tell you the amount of times where in my life I've been overwhelmed with the stress and anxiety of my job or my career or my friends or my family or my relationships, or the moments that are so big, they feel so big that I feel so small, and I have to remember my past accurately. You can do this. And not only can you do this, you've done this, and this before, which are all just stepping stones to get here. And I think that when you accurately view your past, you step boldly and confidently into your present, because you have an undeniable proof. You have undeniable proof that you have done this before. And that means that, yes, you may not get everything right, but you know that, oh, you know what? No, I failed here and I got back up and everything was okay. The world didn't end when this went haywire. So if it goes wrong now, yeah, it's going to hurt, but I know that the world won't end. So I can confidently step into my present. And what that does is it allows you to build the future that you've always dreamt of. And I promise you that our greatest future, when you accurately view your past, you will be one step away from creating the future that you've always desired, because you will be able to recognize all the things along the way and see how far you've come, and recognize that there is good in this world. There's hope in this world. There's things that are yet to be created. There are things that you have not yet done. There are things that you have not yet accomplished that are going to be accomplished. There are people that you're going to meet and lives that you're going to impact. And there's going to be people in your life that you've never even met that are going to impact you in incredible ways, whether it's a kind word on the subway or a kind word on a plane flight or anywhere that you're going. Maybe it's a relative that you meet, or maybe it's a friend that you have, or a coworker that you come up with and you just go through training with, and all of a sudden you have all these people. And I promise you that there are going to be people who are going to remind you of all the things that you've done in life. And all of those things are pointing to the direction that tomorrow can be better than it was in the past. And you don't have to go back to the past, because everything in front of you has the opportunity to be so much better than your past. So you're not going to be pulling at straws and saying, oh, if only I had this, or if only I could reach that, or if only I could go back to when. Yes, those are all good moments of nostalgia to think about. But when you accurately view your past, you recognize that it can be recreated better and better and better in the future. So start walking with confidence and building the future that you want. Recognize the wrong that you did in the past. Recognize the right you did in the past. Recognize where you are strong and where you need strength, so you know what to work on and work out and get better at, because every step that you take is going to lead you closer and closer to the future that you've always wanted. I can absolutely promise you that at the end of the day, if you accurately view the past that takes place, everything comes along with it, and you will be able to see a greater future. It is one of the biggest delights of my entire life, is recognizing how far I've come as a human. And it's my only goal in life, is to help people see they have come so far too. Do not quit now. You are still at the beginning stages, or maybe you're at the end of one story, but at the beginning of another, or heck, you might be in the middle of a complete storm that just feels horrible, but it is not done yet. See all the things that you've done in the past. Recognize your strengths. Know that you're going to get through this, and know that tomorrow is going to be a better day. I cannot tell you the joy that it gives me to be able to speak life and joy and these lessons and things that I've learned, not because I think I know what I'm talking about. It's because every step along the way, every aspect of my life, I've looked back and realized this is why I am who I am. And this is what I was made for, because I need to be reminded, just like I believe you need to be reminded. And if I can do anything, I refuse to believe that these conversations and thoughts and these questions are just mine. I refuse to believe that I'm the only one on this earth that thinks this way. I believe that we all need to be reminded, and we all need to have these moments of reflection. And so that is what this podcast is. Thank you so much for listening to a long ass podcast. For all of you who made it all the way through, thank you so much. It is my genuine pleasure. I don't know where this future, lies. This was almost 2 years now in the making, and we're just going to continue to go. There's quality in the quantity. We're just going to keep posting. So thank you so much. I hope that all of you have a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.